You know, usually when you look at a skyscraper, you're entirely focused on like the sleek glass and the steel.
Right, you completely ignore the scaffolding.
Exactly. You ignore the temporary scaffolding that made the whole structure possible in the first place. And human interaction is, well, it's really exactly the same. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We're putting a beginner level English dialogue between two characters, Ahmed and Sarah, under a microscope.
Yeah, we really want to see how this foundational language builds social connection. Because if you just glance at the source text, it's a very uh, standard language exercise.
Yeah, just, hello, how are you? I am going to the supermarket.
Right.
It feels almost a bit ridiculous to analyze something this basic, I'll admit. But if you look closely, this simple, like, 10-line exchange perfectly maps out the hidden machinery of how humans build trust from absolute zero.
It really does. I mean, right after the polite greetings, Sarah mentions she's going to work, and Ahmed shares that he's heading to the supermarket.
And, like, why do we even ask, what are you doing today in these situations? Honestly, I do not care that Ahmed is going to the supermarket.
No, of course not. You're just being polite.
Right. Like, if I'm passing a neighbor on the street, I'm not, mentally logging their errands. So why do our brains require this exchange?
Well, you don't care about the supermarket, but your brain deeply cares about the response. Evolutionarily, we need to know if the person standing in front of us is predictable and safe.
Oh, so it's like a social radar ping.
Exactly, a radar ping. By stating immediate, mundane goals, both people anchor themselves in a shared physical reality. It proves they are both just participating in the normal, harmless routines of the day.
Which immediately lowers our cognitive guard.
Right.
Think about the last time you asked a coworker about their weekend. You probably weren't deeply invested in their yard work. You were just establishing that shared reality.
Precisely. You're verifying the baseline.
So if the destination is just a radar ping, what happens when they start talking about what they are actually doing there? Because Ahmed lists his groceries, right? Bread, milk, and fruit.
Yeah. And then Sarah asks what his favorite fruit is.
Right, and they get into this brief exchange about mangoes versus apples and oranges.
And this is where the trust subtly escalates. Food is a universal biological need, making it a perfectly neutral ground. By moving from generic staples like bread and milk to specific preferences like mangoes, they are safely revealing their individuality.
Oh, wow. It's basically a conversational handshake protocol for computers.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, Ahmed and Sarah are just exchanging low-stakes data packets, right? In this case, fruit preferences, just to verify the connection is stable before sending anything heavier.
That is the perfect way to look at it. They're expressing personal identity without any risk of conflict. I mean, if Sarah hates mangoes, nobody is going to start a fight over it.
Definitely not.
So it's an evolutionary safe zone that tests the waters for real compatibility.
Which paves the way for the actual breakthrough, because right after the food preference data packet clears, Ahmed asks if Sarah cooks at home.
Right. And she says she cooks dinner every day.
And Ahmed jumps right on that, revealing he likes cooking too.
And suddenly, the dynamic completely shifts. They have moved from verifying they exist in the same reality to safely expressing opinions to finally discovering a shared identity marker.
Finding that common ground.
Yes, finding that common ground elevates the dialogue from a dry, informational update into a genuine moment of human connection.
It really is wild when you zoom out. I mean, in just a handful of sentences, two strangers trace a natural path from a completely mundane supermarket trip to a shared daily hobby.
And wrap it all up with polite wishes for a great day.
Right.
It highlights how incredibly efficient our social protocols are. We use the most basic elements of daily life to filter for, safety, compatibility, and community.
It proves that the mundane is really just the gateway to the meaningful, which leaves you with a final thought to ponder today. If you had to script your own simple 10-line conversation to figure out a stranger's true personality, would you stick to the safe handshake protocol of a grocery list? Or would you risk asking something completely different?
That is a great question.
Because the next time you ask someone what they're buying at the store, you aren't just making small talk. You are running the very first diagnostic for a real connection.